Stop for a second. Look around you right now. Most people are losing, and they don't even know it's happening. Quietly, slowly, one scroll at a time, one comparison at a time. Then they wonder why they feel so empty. Here's the ugly truth nobody tells you. We chase comfort like it's the prize. We run from pain like it's the enemy. And somewhere in between, we lose ourselves completely. Comfort is the slow poison. Struggle, no matter how ugly it looks, is where actual power lives. Long before phones, before Instagram, before any self-help book hit a shelf, the Stoics cracked this code. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who had every excuse to be soft, said something that still cuts through the noise. You only truly own one thing, your mind. That's it. Everything else is borrowed. That's not a nice quote for a poster. That's a weapon, something you grab when your world is burning and you still have to move forward. Stoicism won't soften your life. It'll make you harder to destroy. 8 laws, no fluff, no believe in yourself noise. Rules the Romans lived and died by, and they hit just as hard right now. One request, don't just sit there and watch. Engage, hit like, drop a comment on whatever hits hardest. Send this to someone who's stuck. And whatever you do, don't skip ahead. The one you skip is probably the one that would have saved you. Let's go. Number 1. Stop running from discomfort. Everyone's been trained to dodge pain. The Stoics trained for the opposite. They walked straight into the fire. Here's a question you need to answer honestly. Your biggest growth moment. Did it come from an easy week, or did it come from the week that broke you open and forced a decision? Rise or stay down? Marcus Aurelius buried friends, fought wars, survived betrayal, stayed calm through all of it. Not because he dodged the hard stuff, because he used it. His own words still echo. The obstacle isn't blocking the path. The obstacle is the path. Every difficult thing sharpens something in you. An obstacle sharpens your will. A delay tests your patience. A rejection thickens your skin. The world says, stay comfortable. Stoicism says, train like the storm is already here, because it is. The cold shower, the conversation you're avoiding, the workout you don't feel like doing. That's not punishment. That's construction. You're building something real. Seneca lived this on purpose. Floor instead of a bed, plain food, old clothes. Not because he hated comfort, because he refused to be shocked when it disappeared. When life eventually took things from him, it wasn't a surprise. He'd already rehearsed the moment. Here's the real function of discomfort. It's not your enemy. It's a mirror. Shows you exactly where you stand and exactly where you're headed. Skip small pain now, and bigger pain waits later. Walk into it on purpose, and something breaks loose. The fear of pain fades. That fear leaving? That's what freedom actually feels like. See discomfort as your training partner, not your opponent. It'll leave marks. It's also the only reason you'll ever get stronger. Try this today. Pick one uncomfortable thing and do it without negotiating. Cold water, that conversation, 10 minutes of boredom with no phone. This is how resilience gets built, one rep at a time. Number 2. Refuse to be controlled by your feelings. Think back. How many times did your emotions hijack your day? Rude comment? You snapped. Plan fell through. Mood tanked. Felt lazy? Skipped the gym. Skipped the work. Skipped everything. Let's be blunt. If your emotions run the show, you're not free. You're owned. The Stoics called that worse than actual chains. Epictetus knew real slavery. He lived it before becoming a teacher. His insight still cuts deep. Whoever can make you angry has just become your boss. And they only got the job because you handed them the keys. Think about it. That driver who cut you off, you gave them your calm. That breakup, you handed over your self-worth. One stranger's comment online, you gave them your entire mood. Stoicism doesn't tell you to go numb. It teaches you something harder. Watch the emotion first. Understand where it came from. Then choose your move, instead of just firing off a reaction. Here's the gap between a kid and a Stoic. The kid melts down the second things go wrong. The Stoic sits still inside the mess and actually thinks. Marcus Aurelius wrote something private that changed how millions see pain. The hurt doesn't come from the event itself. It comes from your verdict on the event. And a verdict, unlike the event, you can revise anytime you want. That's the kind of control most people never even attempt. Not being untouched by life. Being untouched by things that were never worth your energy. Here's the uncomfortable part. This means the blame game is over. No more, "he made me furious." No more, "she wrecked my whole day." It was your response, your call. Flip that around. It also means you get another shot, every single time. You're allowed to feel angry without exploding. Feel scared and take the step anyway. Feel low without letting it swallow you whole. That's not suppression. That's strength with the volume turned down. Next time something triggers you, stop. One breath. Ask yourself plainly, does this feeling actually help me right now? Then act on purpose, not on impulse. The second you stop being dragged by every mood swing, something shifts. You get steady. People feel it without you saying a word. In a world this reactive, calm is rare currency. It draws people in. Real change starts the moment you drop the strings and grab the control panel instead.
Number 3, kill the expectation of fairness.
Nobody owes you anything. Full stop. Expecting fairness from life is one of the fastest routes to a miserable existence. You put in the work, someone who barely tried gets promoted. You give someone your whole heart, they leave anyway. You do everything right, you still get burned. Then comes the anger. This isn't fair. Stoic truth, no sugarcoating. Fairness isn't written into the universe. It's a story humans invented to feel better about themselves. Marcus Aurelius ran an empire, watched injustice daily, up close, constantly. He didn't spiral. He didn't demand the universe apologize. He grounded himself in one line. Life was never about being fair. It's about being strong enough regardless. The Stoics went in expecting the worst: pain, betrayal, loss, chaos. That expectation is exactly why none of it destroyed them. You can't be blindsided by something you already saw coming. Strip away the emotion from "this isn't fair," and here's what's usually left. I don't like this feeling, and I don't want to deal with it. That's it. That's the whole complaint. Fairness isn't the growth trigger. Facing what's actually in front of you and moving anyway, that's where the real growth lives. Good people get crushed sometimes. Bad people win sometimes. Hard work doesn't always pay off on schedule. That's not cynicism. That's just reality without the filter. Here's the split between average and unstoppable. Average people sit around waiting for the scales to balance. Unstoppable people build something inside themselves so solid, the imbalance stops mattering altogether. This isn't about going cold. It's about ending the wait for the world to be decent to you. Instead, decide to be decent to yourself no matter how the world behaves. Just continuing to show up with your dignity intact is its own quiet act of courage. So instead of venting about the unfairness, convert it into fuel. Sharpen skills nobody can dismiss. Love people without demanding a guarantee back. Get betrayed and keep walking, spine straight. This is what radical responsibility looks like. Not everything is your fault. That's not it. It's your response is always yours to own. You don't get a vote on what life throws. You always get the final vote on how you swing back. Fairness was never on the table. Freedom was, and it's bought one hard choice at a time. I couldn't sleep that night. The air was too still, and the moonlight kept sliding through the blinds like it was trying to tell me something. And suddenly, that's when I saw it.
Number 4, fight only for what you actually control.
The Stoics zeroed in on one tiny zone of real power, the stuff genuinely inside your control. Everything else? Let it go. Epictetus said it without decoration. Handle what's yours well. Let the rest unfold however it unfolds. The trap almost everyone falls into. Trying to steer other people. Trying to predict tomorrow. Obsessing over how things turn out. Then wondering why anxiety won't leave. So what's actually yours? Your thinking, your decisions, your actions, your responses. That's the entire list. Everything else, what people think of you, luck, randomness, was never yours to begin with. You can't control the weather. You control what you wear. You can't force people to like you. You control how you treat them anyway. You can't steer the economy. You control what you learn, save, and prepare for. That single shift changes everything. Instead of getting pulled in 100 directions by forces you can't touch, you plant your feet in the one place you actually own. Picture this: a ship in a storm. A panicking sailor screams at the wind. A Stoic grabs the wheel and steers. That's the difference. Calm while others panic. Focused while others complain. Disciplined while others drift. This isn't pretending the outside world doesn't exist. It's choosing where your attention actually goes. Because most of what wrecks people's peace was never theirs to control anyway. Quick filter. Feeling stressed? Ask one question. Is this mine to control? Yes? Act on it. No? Drop it. No negotiating. Your mind belongs to you. Outside events don't. Live inside that truth, and you become hard to shake. Not because life stops throwing punches, because you stay in command of yourself, no matter what lands.
Number 5. Build hardship into your routine on purpose. In a world hooked on ease, discipline becomes the actual power move. The Stoics didn't wait for life to test them. They ran their own drills first. Not to suffer for suffering's sake, to get battle-ready before the real fight showed up. Seneca had a habit. Pick a stretch of days, eat the cheapest food, wear the roughest clothes, then ask yourself honestly, is this the disaster I was so afraid of? That's voluntary hardship, discomfort by choice, so real pressure later doesn't crack you. Most people today dodge discomfort completely. Never skip a meal, never sit with silence, never go a day without convenience. Then real hardship shows up uninvited and they fall apart. Panic, blame, collapse. The Stoic already rehearsed this, already knows what hunger feels like, fatigue, rejection, boredom. None of that makes them bulletproof. It makes them flexible enough to bend instead of snap. Willpower doesn't come from watching another motivational reel. It gets built the second you do the thing you don't want to do, on purpose, with no audience watching. What voluntary hardship actually looks like. A day of fasting, just to prove your urges don't run you. A cold shower while every nerve screams to stop. Skipping something you could easily afford, purely to sharpen restraint. Getting up before you want to, training while your body begs for the blanket. Stack enough of these small choices and something shifts permanently, not because you're cruel to yourself, because you've proven comfort was never the source of your strength, friction was. Marcus Aurelius governed through plague, war, betrayal, and his writing stayed level and clear the whole time. Why? Hardship never surprised him. He expected it. Hardship you've already braced for loses its power to paralyze. So drop the question, how do I make this easier? Replace it with, how do I get stronger? Rehearse hunger, rehearse silence, rehearse cold, rehearse fatigue, rehearse rejection, rehearse boredom. Stay locked in through every bit of it. One day, life will hand you more than you think you can carry. The rehearsal is exactly what lets you carry it anyway.
Number 6. Marry the process, divorce the outcome. We're wired to chase results. The job, the deal, the number, the applause. Stoicism cuts that wire completely. Let go of the outcome. Obsess over the process instead. Simple reason why. Outcomes were never promised to you. Effort is the one thing that's always, fully in your hands. Epictetus tied freedom directly to this. Release your grip on anything outside your control and you're free. Chase results instead and you're setting a trap for yourself. One rough week at the gym with no visible change and you quit. One project flops and you feel worthless. One person leaves and you fall apart. Now flip it. What if the actual target was the work itself? Showing up, building, learning, grinding through the boring parts. That's the Stoic move. When the process is the goal, you win every single day, regardless of how the scoreboard reads. Here's the strange part. Stop needing a specific result and you often get better results anyway. Desperation disappears. Neediness disappears. What's left is grounded, steady action. And that tends to perform better than panic ever does. Marcus Aurelius put it plainly, don't let tomorrow rattle you today. When tomorrow arrives, you'll meet it with the exact same clear thinking you're using right now. Translation, stop rehearsing disasters that haven't happened. Do the work in front of you, today, with full commitment. Writer, write to sharpen your mind, not to trend. Athlete, train to master your own body, not just to beat someone else. Building something? Build it for the pride in the craft, not for applause you can't control. Tie your worth to outcomes and you're fragile, one bad result away from collapse. Tie it to discipline and intention instead, and nothing outside you can touch your foundation. Mental shift to try. Act like the ending is already written. You're simply here to enjoy doing the work. Win or lose, you already banked the win because you showed up and did it.
Number 7. Live like the clock is actually running out, because it is. Most people move through life assuming there's always more time. Dreams get delayed. Bad habits get tolerated. Draining relationships get kept for now. The Stoics thought about death often, not to feel gloomy, but to snap awake. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly that this could be his last day, and he let that truth steer every choice, every word, every thought. That's not morbid, that's the sharpest kind of freedom, the kind that comes from knowing your time isn't unlimited, so nothing gets wasted carelessly. There's no someday waiting for you. I'll get to it later assumes a tomorrow nobody actually has guaranteed. The Stoics had a practice for this. Memento mori. Remember you will die. Not to spiral into dread, to stay locked into the present. Once that truth actually lands, the scrolling stops mattering. The petty arguments stop mattering. Mediocrity stops being acceptable. You start building, loving, moving, today, not in some imagined future. Seneca nailed it in one line. The problem was never a shortage of time. The problem is how much of it gets thrown away. You don't control the length of your life. You fully control the depth of it. The most dangerous sentence you can tell yourself is, there's plenty of time. There isn't. That risk you keep avoiding. That business idea gathering dust. That person you keep meaning to forgive. That change you keep pushing to next year. None of it has a guaranteed later. This is the actual moment. The Stoic doesn't look away from death. He stares straight at it and refuses to sleep through the only life he gets. That awareness doesn't create panic. It creates presence. Someone who genuinely holds on to this truth tells the truth more, loves harder, moves with urgency, drops the ego, stops fearing failure because the real failure was always the wasted life, not the failed attempt. Treat your time like it's borrowed, because it is. Do that, and purpose replaces the constant hunt for approval. People can feel that shift in you before you even speak. Number 7. Live like the clock is actually running out, because it is. Most people are optimizing for likes, praise, attention. The Stoic isn't performing for an audience at all. The Stoic answers to virtue, full stop. Marcus Aurelius held one standard, do the right thing. That's the whole assignment. Nothing else on the scoreboard matters. Act with honor when nobody's watching. Tell the truth when nobody claps. Keep a promise even when it costs you something real.
That's virtue, and it builds a character that literally cannot be purchased. This was never about flawless behavior. It's about staying principled when it's inconvenient. Here's the part nobody enjoys. The right move is usually the harder move. Lying is easier than honesty. Chasing approval is easier than standing alone with your own convictions. Every single time you pick right over easy, you carve out more of who you actually are. You're building an identity nobody can repossess. Seneca lived by a rule. Act and think as if the entire world were watching your every move and reading your every thought. That's real integrity, the kind of foundation that doesn't crack the second pressure shows up. In a culture obsessed with image, the Stoic stays exactly who they are. In a world drowning in noise, the Stoic stays quiet and steady. In a world built on performance, the Stoic stays real. Want to be unstoppable? Stop performing for praise. Start living by your own values, so completely that even stripped of status, money, followers, you'd still stand upright. Here's the twist. The moment you stop chasing the crowd's approval is usually the exact moment the crowd starts following you. Stand for what's right, not what's trending. Walk that road alone if you have to. It's still the only road worth walking. If you made it to this point, something in you is already shifting. You're ready to drop the distractions, the weakness, the emotional whiplash, and step into something bigger. Not perfection, power. Not control over other people, command over yourself. That's the entire Stoic path in one line. It was never selling comfort. It sells clarity, direction, meaning, even while everything around you looks like it's caving in. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, none of them were writing for an easy world. They wrote to survive war, betrayal, and death with their dignity fully intact. Their lesson was simple. Real strength was never about muscle or money. It's the person who keeps their word, the one who faces fear without folding, the one who does right, especially when it costs the most. You don't need motivation to start. You don't need the perfect moment. That moment isn't coming. Start now. Train the mind. Expect the struggle. Let go of the outcome. Hold the line on your principles. Live like the clock is running out, because it actually is. Here's the best part. No applause required. No approval needed from anyone. Walk this path and you become unshakable from the inside, permanently. That kind of strength is rare. It's real. And right now, it's fully available to you. If any of this landed, hit like. Drop your favorite law in the comments. Send it to someone walking their own hard road. Subscribe if you want more of this. Keep showing up. Keep choosing strength. Don't stop until unstoppable is just who you are.